I think we have several things that we need to consider. First of all, that we need to reframe the narrative that investors look at in the African continent from a risk to opportunity. So many African investors, unfortunately, they perceive the African markets as high risk, mainly due to political instability, currency volatility, regulatory uncertainty, which is usually a big problem. So we need to reframe that and present it to the investors as a content of opportunity, not just risk. Well, we're with 1.7 billion people expected to be the population of Africa by 2030, growing middle class, abundant natural resources, intra-Africa investment offers unmatched long-term potential. We have huge potential that can be unlocked. We see a lot of Egyptian companies, for instance, they are heavily invested in Africa and they're making very good returns. But we need to highlight those success stories. Like also, as I said, there's Egyptian tycoon businessmen, like Swedi, like Citadel, like so many things. And as well as I mentioned earlier, AFC's Lobito Corridor, Africa 50 data center investments, and other regional investment and fintech platforms that build confidence. The second thing I think of is also building regional investment platforms. We need to build regional investment platforms. This could be investment vehicles, cross-border investment vehicles that makes cross-border investments easier and safer. Again, platforms like Africa 50, AFC, AIIF, they offer those project preparation support, risk-sharing structures, blended finance models. So those platforms should be scaled and replicated to allow those pension funds that we were talking about, sovereign wealth funds, and other private investors to co-invest in vetted, impactful projects. And referring also to what Josephine said regarding the harmonization of regulations across borders, this is of paramount importance. Fragmented regulatory frameworks usually discourage any kind of cross-border investment. So a continental investment code, for instance, under the African Union could standardize the tax treatment, protect investor rights, enable also pool the capital deployment. This would unlock billions of dollars in domestic capital, much needed for also regional growth. And I would say also mobilize youth-centric investment themes. So investors are more likely to act when they see a clear social return for their investments. We need to promote investment sectors that directly benefit youth and women, but mainly youth, given the very big population of youth that we have in the African continent, especially in education, green jobs, climate resilience, digital entrepreneurship. Affordable housing is also very important, and urban infrastructure. We need to use impact-linked investments to tie returns to youth employment, SMEs, as I said, green finance, or skills development, as well as foster Pan-African investor networks. Is also important that those African investors, they can engage in discussions, they can connect. So we encourage those platforms and networks can encourage collaboration through regional investment forums, joint ventures between African pension funds, knowledge sharing platforms in order to build trust, reduce also this information asymmetry, because many African investors, they don't know what's happening in the other countries about the tax regimes, etc., but also create a shared vision for Africa's future. And last, I would say leverage the power of storytelling.